Andy,
Yeah.
can we just start this thing?
Do we have to? That was my idea.
Not really. Although it was your idea.
It was my idea. But anyway, what's going on, everybody?
Hey guys, welcome back to another Power Trip Gaming
Powercast, where you're listening with power. Excuse me.
Clear your throat.
Got it.
I always feel like
Yeah.
the Princess Bride, where the guy is like, the pit of despair, don't even don't even think about trying to Skype.
I love it. You know what's funny? I always love prison scenes and things that are just funny.
Did you say prison
or
scenes?
well, no, you know the beginning of Men in Tights,
Yeah.
where he's in the jail or whatever, and the tongue loosers and shit, and he speaks to him in whatever fucking language that was. He says, "What did he say?" You know, I don't know. I don't know. There's something really funny about Mel Brooks shit.
Well, Mel Brooks stuff is funny.
It's very good.
Princess Bride was not Mel Brooks.
I know it wasn't.
I don't know.
It had
why
Carrie Ellis in it.
Oh, sure. Okay.
That's where I made the connection.
That's where the connection
For
was.
fuck's sake.
Yeah, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
So much bacon. Is it microwavable bacon or stovetop bacon? Do you prefer one or the other?
I prefer stovetop bacon, but you know what? Bacon is bacon, and when I need my bacon, I get my bacon any way I can get it.
You look like the kind of guy who likes floppy bacon. Like, you don't like it crispy. You like that shit floppy and stringy.
Nope, I'm the exact opposite.
I don't think there's anybody in the world that likes floppy bacon.
I like my bacon very crispy. I like it so crispy and burnt almost that it melts in your mouth. You ever had that before?
Yes.
Where it just like almost like dissolves ever so slightly in your mouth.
Fucking meat, man. Anyway, it's the Midwest Gaming Classic!
We're going to the Midwest Gaming Classic soon.
We are. It's in a couple days. We're recording this a couple days before the Midwest Gaming Classic 2019.
2019.
Can you believe it's 2019 already?
And this is the second year that it will be held in the Wisconsin Center. Or
That's right.
The Milwaukee what is it? Just the Wisconsin Center. Yeah, in Milwaukee.
Think so, yeah.
In Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So.
Yep, they used to be in Brookfield, I'm pretty sure.
It used to be in Brookfield at the Sheraton Hotel, and it was so funny. No, it really was. I mean, it's just we've been going to the Midwest Gaming Classic for, 6 years? This will be our 6th year now, and
I believe so, yes.
And we really saw kind of the evolution, even though the Midwest Gaming Classic has been going on for much longer than that, we really saw the evolution of how this thing has grown every single year since we went there, and we saw them really just literally outgrow the Sheraton Hotel, which is why they had to go to the Wisconsin Center in Milwaukee. And it's a great venue, honestly. There's a lot of room to breathe there. You don't feel claustrophobic. Walk around, spread around. You're not walking into people. It's great.
Yeah, definitely. If you don't know what the Midwest Gaming Classic is, it's a big gaming expo thing.
It's a convention. So basically it is the biggest gaming convention in the Midwest. The Midwest Gaming Classic, obviously. It's held every year in Milwaukee or near Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And you get a lot of vendors who come in to sell high ticket games, low ticket games, everything in between. There is actually demo setups as well too, where people bring in systems. You can play games of every kind that you can think of. They bring in pinball machines as well too, and even in some of them they even unveil at the Midwest Gaming Classic of pinball games that are going to be coming out soon.
Yeah, I know a lot of indie developers go to those, and they have their games set up.
Yep, and it's to get their product out to get all that stuff.
Motherfuck. Wow. Sorry about that. I had to mute my phone.
How dare you?
Sorry about that, buddy boy. But yes, it's a fun time. They always have a lot of really cool crap. Fudge knuckles.
What did you do?
My notes went away.
Did you knock it? Oh,
tits. Where'd it go? Where did it go? I'm gonna just close that. Where did it go? Did I delete it? Yeah, I did. I'm an idiot. Alright, here we go. Ignore what just happened. Andy, cut that out.
I was gonna say you can just cut that out.
I probably won't. But yes, what did we say? Pinball machines, indie developers. We're good at this.
We're good at this.
Like I said, I might just keep this in because it's funny to me.
It's funny to you. Probably not funny to anybody else.
But yes, we've been going to this for, as Paul said, about 6 years.
Yeah, this will be the 6th year.
How long has it been going on?
You know what? That's a good question. So we found out about it.
I know you told me about it.
Yeah,
you went 1 year before it? Before me?
No. I've only went with you.
Oh.
We found out, or I may have found out about it from Gerald from Coliseum Games. He was the one who told me about the Midwest Gaming Classic, and he said that it's this big gaming convention in Milwaukee. And I thought, hey, that's close enough. So then we went that first year in 2013, and never looked back. I think heard of people going since like 2008, 2009, so it may have been maybe the mid to late 2000s is when it started.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure when it actually started.
Well, we'll start from when we started going. Mm-hmm. So that was 2000, whatever the fuck you said.
13.
I'm waking up.
Wow.
Wake me up inside.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so when we first went back in 2020.
Back in 2020. Future hindsight or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah, it was a pretty good time. You and I wandered around quite a bit. We did go to the vendor hall, which is the only reason we really go. But I remember the vendor hall was inside the hotel, and it actually wasn't that cramped when we first went.
It didn't feel like it, no.
No, but I remember we picked up a lot of good things our first year.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I found Suikoden 2, which I found for about 120. I found Shining Force 3, which I think I spent 140 on, 125. It wasn't that much more.
I don't think so, but I think it was around that 140 mark.
I think so too, now that I think about it. Talk about regrets. I remember seeing Magic Knight Rayearth there at that first classic, and Dragon Force, all for the Sega Saturn.
How much was Magic Knight Rayearth? No. How much was it at the classic?
$75.
Oh, are you going to be mad?
Do you think?
Oh yeah, it's about 4 times that. It's more than 4 times that.
Oh yeah, Magic Knight Rayearth. So keep in mind, I saw it for $75.
Yeah.
$370 current day. Dragon Force actually hasn't gotten that bad. Dragon Force, I think, was the same. It was about $75. Now it goes for about double that, $156.
Yeah, Magic Knight Rayearth really just kind of took off more than a lot of other games of that time.
Well, it's funny because that first classic we went to, not only did I buy all those games there, but the day before, I bought my Vita.
Oh, did you really?
I did, because I bought a Vita for Kevin as well. Uh-huh. So I spent a lot of money that week, and I easily spent over $1,000.
Well, I remember you brought money with you, and then you spent all that. Oh, so then you had to go to the ATM. You spent all that, and then I had to lend you some more money because we were literally kids in a candy store. That first year that we went, it seemed like anything and everything you could think of was there. I remember I was still collecting Nintendo games. I can't remember all of the Nintendo games that I did pick up there, but I remember I picked up a lot of I would say the middle tier rarity games that I had never either seen before or hadn't found for cheap, and so I remember picking up like a game like Jackie Chan's Action Kung Fu.
Wonderful.
That was I picked it up for $20. That was the first time I had ever seen it in person, so I picked that up. I picked up a game called Arkista's Ring.
Yep.
And that was complete, and I remember that was out of like somebody's hotel room because it was just funny the way that it was like how it used to be set up before they then kind of
they
segregated it to like a tent outside of the hotel instead of inside, but it's like they had it within like conference rooms and hotel rooms, like, you would just walk up and down, like, a hallway, and people's doors would be open, and each one was, like, basically a vendor.
Yeah, that was the only part that felt really odd. Is sometimes you'd be walking into these rooms and you're like, huh? What's in here? And you're like, I don't feel like I should be in here.
Yeah, no, it felt very... I don't want to say it felt like being in a dungeon or anything like that, but it wasn't too far off.
No, and it was
weird.
It was cramped. Just trying to pass people in those hallways and stuff.
It was.
But they had a big vendor hall, but then sometimes in some of those side rooms you'd have more vendors. Mm-hmm. Like I remember just outside the vendor hall back when it went to the tent, like sometimes you would go in and then like you would take a left and then there would be like joined rooms. It almost felt like it was like a meeting room that they pulled the partition off of, and there was more vendor in there. But I don't know, it was just a very odd setup for how many vendors they actually had. What were some of the, besides Jackie Chan's Action Kung Fu, what were some of the other things you picked up around like our first couple classics?
So I remember Arquista's Ring for $25, and that was complete, very immaculate box too. It was fantastic. I remember finding Dragon Warrior 4 there.
Ooh.
And it was literally just sitting out, but the way that it was like sitting out, they made it look almost as if it was like a game that was going to be raffled off.
Yeah.
And so I remember looking at it and thinking like, you know what? What's it hurt to ask? I'm just going to ask, hey, is that for sale? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, how much is that? And they're like, and they went to their book or something like that, because I guess all the prices that they had of all their stuff was listed in the book. And the guy was like, I was looking through, he's like, $36. And I'm like, sold. I won't take it. And he was like, oh, okay, great. He handed it to the other guy, and he's like, okay, this guy's gonna get this game. It's $36. And the guy kind of looked at it like, 36? And so it's like you could tell that he thought something was fishy about the price. And then he looked in the book and he's like, well, okay, all right, $36. So I ended up picking up Dragon Warrior 4 for $36, which I don't think the game's terribly expensive now. It may be double that now, but it's not too much more than that. But still, it was the fact that you could not get that game for below $50.
Yeah.
At the time. And I think at that time it was probably around the 50, 60 mark, but it was so consistent that you would never, ever find that game for less than $50. And so when I found it for $36, I'm like, oh my god, this is a sign. This is manna from heaven.
Yeah, it goes $76 now.
Yeah.
Which you're right, because I think after the classic, you called me, I want to say it was the same year, that Inner Child downtown.
Yeah.
Remember you told me they had a copy of Earthbound?
Yeah, and I remember that for like the Earthbound and the guide was $150.
Yeah, well, unbeknownst to us, the guy had it. It was just
it was technically separate.
Yeah, needless to say, I didn't buy it. Although I should have probably, but I did end up picking up Dragon Warrior 4 from Inner Child.
I think he had it for 40. Right?
I think I spent it for 40 or 50.
40 or 45 maybe.
Yeah, but it was right on about what you were thinking.
Yeah.
So. But yes.
But I remember getting that. I remember going after some like Game Boy games. I remember getting Battletoads Double Dragon and Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, like the dual pack.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up the two of them for $30, which is pretty cheap, and Battletoads Double Dragon is about double that. MK1 and 2, for some reason, like it's a dual card. It's really nice. It's a pretty semi-difficult game to find, but for some reason it doesn't go for that much.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's like maybe $11 or $12.
Truth be told, I didn't know they made a double pack of it.
Yeah. Wow. Mortal Kombat 1 and 2.
What was it for?
For the Game Boy.
For the Jesus Christ.
Come on, I said the Game Boy, man.
I wasn't listening.
Go back to bed.
Yeah, go back to bed. Wow.
But it really seemed like those first several years that we went there is specifically... Well, I take that back. The first year, 2013, it just seemed like everything and anything you could find was there. It was a dream. Like, things that you don't normally see And the variety, the amount of variety, everybody had different games. None of this, like the common games, the common NES or SNES games that you see all the time. It's just they had a lot of different variety, unique games. It was fantastic.
The pricing was good too,
and the pricing was really good.
That was one thing that I kind of miss a lot, is the fact that now pricing has. Back in the day, you could go to the Classic and you would find games for a good deal. Mm-hmm. If it was normally $50, sometimes you'd find it at the Classic for $35 or $40. It was you would find that game you were looking for so long without having to pay like that top shelf price.
It's like they priced them to sell, not for people to go like, oh my god, that game is worth that.
Like how we like last year when we ran into that Bonk's Adventure that they wanted $3,600 for,
and I immediately was like, that
ain't right.
That doesn't sound right.
$3,600. That's more than Little Samson.
That's more than a box of Little Samson.
Fucking ridiculous.
What?
Yeah. So but nowadays it tends to be more on the high side for pricing. Yeah. Still fair. Like, the prices are still fair. It's just you're going to pay what the game's worth.
Basically, yeah. You're not getting deals. The prices are fair, and sometimes you can cut some really good deals. But, again, you just have to really look a lot deeper than what you had to in the past. And there's going to be these flags that you're going to see where that game is way too overpriced. Or, and a part of me thinks that they do that only to draw like people into their
into the booth.
It's like, oh my god, he's got a Bonk's Adventure box for $3,600. Oh, what else does he have?
That's true.
So maybe it's just I don't know. Maybe they're doing it for that wow factor, but yeah, it seemed, you're right. It seemed like that first year everything was just the prices, like, and that's why we spent so much money. But it almost felt too, because one of the big differences that I can remember of then versus now is that a lot of the classics, and we do this often, we'll look at a game, what they have it priced at, and then we'll go to our phones and we'll look at price charting to see what is this game trending at on price charting. We never did that once when we went to that first classic, and I'm pretty sure that price charting didn't even exist at that time. No?
You don't think so?
I almost, or at least it was in its infancy.
You're right. It was definitely in the early days of price charting.
And so it was not, I think price charting may have just hit the scene, but we weren't going to our phones saying like, is this a good price? Is this a good price? And so nowadays people are using price charting more and more, especially the collectors, saying, okay, well, this game is trending at $80. All right, well, I got to recoup the money that I spent on the booth, so I'm going to charge $90. Or this game is going for $120. I saw somebody else who's got it for $160, so I'm gonna price it at $145, which is still grossly above what it trends at, but it's lower than what somebody else has it at. So then that kind of becomes the next trending point.
Yeah. Or they overprice it because they know some people will try to haggle them down. So, I mean, you see 145, the game might only be worth 80, but the person who wants to buy it will be like, well, will you take 90 for it? You know, oh, sure, why not? You're still coming out ahead. Or you're getting $10 worth over what it is because it's that inflated price.
Or even if they get it down to 120 or something like that, it's like you got it down $25, so hey, you know what, I'll settle for that.
That is the nice thing though at the Classic, is they do a lot of the vendors are very negotiable.
They are.
We do a lot of bundle deals. We do. You know, because I remember I go for a lot of the strategy guides, which reminds me, after this, I have to catalog my guides to make sure I don't rebuy something.
Better do that.
Yes. I mean, I have my catalog, I just got to update it. But I've noticed even in inflation in some of the guide prices. I used to be able to get a whole fucking like backpack full of guides for maybe $110. I was
gonna say next to nothing. I remember.
And now, even this last Classic, some of these guides are going for $40. Like for one of them alone is going for about $40. So it's like even everything is starting to inflate. And you're right. I think price charting is a big influence on that. It's hard to haggle when all of that information is right at your fingertips.
Right there, and everybody's using it. And
we ran into that issue with Rule of Rose.
Yeah.
We still got a good price on it, but we ended up with that issue where it's like you can't really go any lower than what we got it for.
Well, which is funny too, because one of the first years that we actually saw it and we were looking for it was $195, and we laughed. And we laughed because we're like, man, that's expensive.
Oh, we were so young.
So flash forward to like 1 year later, it's like, okay, I guess we'll settle at $250. God damn it!
Ain't that the truth? Well, actually, we'll do that. We'll compare and contrast some of the prices of games we've bought at some of these classics.
Well, it's actually really funny, although it's not. It's not a game that I bought at the classic, but the first classic we went to, I met up with a guy for Little Samson. I bought it on eBay.
That's right.
And then I found out that he lived in Milwaukee, and he said that he was going to be at the Midwest Gaming Classic.
I remember that.
His name was Edwin.
Yes.
I actually had his number in my phone up until like maybe a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, why do I have who's Edwin?
Is Edwin?
Yeah, who's Edwin? And I'm like, oh shit, that's that guy that I got Little Samson from.
That's fun.
But yeah, I ended up buying it on eBay, meeting him, and I felt like I was doing like a backdoor deal or something like that, where it's just like, hey, you got the stuff, and he pulls out a non-discreet bag out of his. Out of his coat or something like that. I'm looking at it and I'm just like, oh man, yeah, let me see. Oh yeah, that looks like the real deal. That looks like the real stuff. Ooh, look at that.
Give a little sniff.
That looks so real. That label is just so crisp. It's official. All right, yeah. Let me just pull out my money. Oh shoot. Hopefully nobody's looking because they want this little Samson. Okay, anyways.
You were getting a little excited there. You started to sweat.
I was. Ooh, God.
That's a thing though. Is you didn't see Little Samson at those conventions very much in the early ones.
Not the first one, no.
And now,
and in fact, somebody actually saw that I had Little Samson. They're like, "Hey, are you interested in trading that game?" And I'm like, "No. One of the reasons I came here was to pick up this game,
yeah.
So I'm not interested in selling it or trading it." But,
and now I know we see it at least 3 or 4 different booths. We'll have a Little Samson.
But I was actually thinking about that when I purchased that game, it was in 2013, and at the time it was one of the most expensive games I had ever purchased. Yeah. I paid a hair over maybe $500 for that game, and now I think to myself like, oh man, that's so expensive. But in that same vein, the game really did skyrocket in price.
Yes,
so therefore
it did.
I ended up what I thought was paying a lot of money for it. But I ended up saving money down the road by not waiting any longer than I did.
You said you spent how much?
$500.
It is easily double that.
It's
back to $1,200.
It's back up to $1,200 now?
Yep. $11.99.59.
I remember that maybe 6 months ago, or maybe it was 12 months ago, that game fell even below
4 digits.
Below 4 digits. First time in 3-4 years. And now it's creeping up. And I remember at most we saw it at the Classic one year for like $1,400.
Yeah.
So.
But we saw that box copy last year for $1,400 right as you entered the Classic. It was in that case. It was, well, it might not have been $1,400. It was there.
Unless there was one where it was just a box that they were selling.
Maybe
that might be what it was.
Okay.
Is it was just the box. It wasn't the game too. Because I'm like, that would go for, if it was the game and the box, you're easily talking like $2,000-$3,000.
I think on price charting it was $23 something for complete.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which actually isn't that bad.
No,
if you think about it in the grand scheme. It's cheaper than Bonk.
You sure that game's $3,600 complete?
God. Yeah.
So, but yeah. Anyways,
that's a big difference.
No, I mean, like just the games. I'm actually curious as to what Arquista's Ring is, because that itself that's a super rare game to me. Like you don't ever really see Arquista's Ring.
No, we don't run into that one very often.
No, and I ended up finding that one complete. Like it was just the most pristine box like ever.
Yeah. Well, I know I bought Suikoden 2, my first Classic, for $120. Nowadays it goes for about $163. So it did go up a little bit, but not astronomically high. Which is, it's surprising, but still good. I remember that game eluded me for years. We used to see it at EB games all the time. growing up.
Which game?
Suikoden 2.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, as soon as we go to buy it,
it's gone.
It disappears, and we haven't seen it since.
Story of my life.
Ain't that the truth, Scat?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You had to open up that wound, and then you had to pour salt on it.
I sure did. Another one that I mentioned, Shining Force 3, I spent about $140 on. Nowadays, it's about $210. So that one even has gone up about $50, $60. My biggest one, though, was Panzer Dragoon Saga.
Oh, yeah.
That was, I want to say, just before we started recording the classics. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So it must have been 2014, actually, that I think I got it. I spent $400 on the dot for Panzer Dragoon Saga.
I remember that.
Nowadays, $665. So it's gone up $265.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah. Not that it's funny because we talk about that. We don't sell our games.
No.
No. So it's like really these prices are kind of arbitrary to us.
Well, they're arbitrary, but still, there's something because. And I noticed that it's a mentality with collectors. Not really even the resellers, but just the collectors who want to keep the stuff. So even though they have no intention of ever selling it, they always talk about the price and what it's going for. And it's almost like an additional... I don't know, it's almost like an additional trophy. Not only did you find something that was rare that you were looking for, but you also got it for a really good price. Yeah. And when you see that it's going up, you're like, oh, hey, that's desirable. It's going up, and it's getting harder to find. Like, hey, I got that. And it just makes you feel good. It really does.
It almost weirdly timestamps it.
And it does, yeah. It really does.
There was a time when $400 was the going price for Panzer Dragoon Saga.
And I'm sure that there was probably a time when it was like $150.
Probably. One of the big ones from last year, Rule of Rose, we spent $250 on. Yeah. Nowadays it goes for $316. So if we had not picked it up last year, we would easily be spending over $300.
I was gonna say we'll probably be if it's 360. Yeah, wow, holy shit.
So my biggest
316, they're probably gonna be if we do see a copy of it, I imagine it'll be probably no cheaper than $350.
$350, huh? I'm gonna say $325.
I think $350. I
think we'll see it for $325.
I don't think so.
No? Well, it'll be in the video actually.
Well, here we go.
That's something to look for.
It's gonna be a bet. Yep.
It's gonna be a bet.
It's gonna be a bet.
I think $325 is what we'll find it at.
Unless it's without an instruction booklet.
Oh, that's a good point.
Which unfortunately could be the case.
I don't know though. We've never really seen Loose Rule of Rose. I don't even think anybody would. Why would you bring just a disc-only copy of Rule of Rose to a classic?
Because disc-only is still almost $230.
It's true. But, and this is one thing that we kind of found out, too. The first classic we recorded, that we did with Power Trip, there was a copy of Thousand Arms. Remember where I sat there, I waited for it, and then he's like, it's just a disc, there's no instructions. Why would you even bring that?
Yeah.
Because the type of people that go to the Midwest Gaming Classic, especially in the vendor hall...
They're collectors.
They're looking for their games complete.
Yep, they want it complete.
I should say there's a certain era of games they want complete. Because, honestly, finding complete NES and SNES games that's kind of difficult to come by.
Yeah.
But, so, I mean, really, if you're a collector, you're going to the Classic to look for NES games that just the cart. If you get a box, hey, more power to you. But I would say if you're looking for any of the disc-based games, chances are you're going to want those games complete. At least we're like that anyway. So I don't know how many people out there actually... like, if you have a PS1 game, do you care if it has the instructions? I personally do, but maybe other people don't.
That's... Yeah. No, I mean, as long as you have the game and you can play it, I'm sure that there are people out there... and there's nothing wrong with this. As long as you have the game and you can play it, that's all you need. Some people don't need the box. Some people don't need the instruction booklets. And some people just go after that stuff. There's nothing wrong with it. However you want to collect is the way that you should do it. You should never try to emulate somebody else or try to collect just because you think that that something's going to be popular or something's going to be valuable or rare or something like that. Get what you want.
Yeah, there's no wrong way to collect.
That's the first rule of it. So, But I I remember I found Castlevania Legends on the Game Boy one year, and I ended up paying I think $50 for it, which is pretty cheap for that game. And so now it goes for about $75. So,
oh wow!
So I mean that one went up a little bit. Jackie Chan's Action Kung Fu, I paid $20 for it. That one doubled in price. That was it's $49 right now, which is funny because when we actually played the game and recorded it, it was like around like the $70-$80 mark. So
that's true.
That's one of those middle tier games where you can. I wouldn't say that the collecting bubble has burst, but you can tell that a lot of the middle tier games are starting to come down now.
Starting to take that.
It's
dip.
starting to I think it's starting to take the dip. The rare games themselves, it doesn't look like the prices have been affected all that greatly.
No.
But the middle tier games, though, it seems like those ones they've all kind of went down like I would say a good 20-25%. But Arkista's Ring.
Yeah.
So I paid $25 for that game. Complete. It's a little bit over $81, which is so surprising to me.
That is surprising.
Because that's a game that you just don't really see, which then makes me think that it's probably not that great of a game. So
it's an interesting game, that's for sure.
Interesting usually means bad.
No, it's not. It's not bad.
There sounds like a but is coming.
It's going to be a challenge for us to learn. Because it's
Why is it going to be a challenge to learn? It's not like Bandit Kings of Ancient China where we have to deal with fiefdoms.
Or Shingen the Ruler.
Shingen the Ruler, oh god.
Destiny of an Emperor.
Nobunaga's Ambition, 1 and 2.
Ultimas.
Romance of the Three Kingdoms, 1 and 2.
God, there's a lot of them. Genghis Khan.
Oh, that's right, Genghis Khan. Oh no. There was, I don't even know how to look it up, but you remember when we picked up the Power Glove, actually.
We did pick up the Power Glove at the Classic.
A complete one. And in fact, we picked it up at like just the nick of time, too, because the guy had told us that it's like, yeah, somebody else was eyeing that, and we ended up seeing somebody else who wanted a Power Glove, and we ended up kind of snatching it before they could.
We scooped it up quick.
And I remember it was like $100, but the Power Glove itself, like the box was like great. It was it's a large, so we'll be able to use it because it can actually fit our hands. Yeah. It's not like it's a small that we can't use. But it comes with all the instructions, all the hookups, all the connections, all the paperwork that came with it too. So I honestly think that was a really good pickup.
That was a good pickup. That's what's cool about the Classic 2 is not only just the games are there. It's like you can find a lot of the peripherals. You can find even just systems in general.
Yeah.
A lot of vendors will have a lot of the systems for sale.
And they'll have a lot of like kind of odd things. Yeah. Here and there.
I know I've picked up quite a few repro carts of things at the conventions. I picked up what was it, Seikendetsu 3 or 2 or something like that?
Oh, Seikendetsu 3. I think
I picked up 3. Yeah.
I think actually that's where I picked up Battle Kid.
Yeah,
I picked up Battle Kid at one of the classics, actually, yeah.
Yeah, so they have a lot of, like, the homebrew things will be there, and those are always fun to peruse.
I was going to say, just to try them out, yeah. One of my, well, it ended up becoming a treasured moment, but at the time, I was kind of pissed off. So in 2014, I completed the Nintendo collection of the American licensed games. And I specifically, I don't know why, but my collecting mind was like, there was something about the last couple of games that I wanted, I didn't want them to be rare. I didn't want them to be like a little Samson or a Flintstone Surprise Dino Peak. So the last 2 games that I needed, I remember was Kiwi Craze and Eliminator Boat Duel. Of all the games... Eliminator Boat Duel, which is like a $5 game. Kiwi Craze at the time, I think, was like $15, maybe $20. And those were the last 2 games. I specifically was like, yes, the Classic's coming up in 2014. We're going to finish the collection right at the Midwest Gaming Classic. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And we walked around, and I think that was the year, do you remember... There was the tent outside, and I think that was the first year that they did the tent outside. and it happened to be like in the middle of a thunderstorm.
Yes, it was in like a torrential like downpour.
It was
horrible.
And the water started seeping in underneath.
Oh, it was terrible. So many things because they had shit on the floor.
I felt so bad for all of those vendors because they had their crap on the floor, and you could tell like the boxes were just getting destroyed.
They were getting soaked.
Oh God, I'm like, I don't want to even I don't want to take that stuff to like put it in my car because it's just gonna get mildewed and stuff like that.
That was really when they moved it to the tent. It was stupid.
It was bad, and
it was just really cold too.
Yes, it was. It was actually really cold. It was a cold April day.
Yeah, they had heaters and all sorts of shit.
Yeah, I remember that. And I don't know if that was the same one. They lost power.
Yeah,
they lost power out there. Yeah. It's like all of a sudden all the lights went out and everybody's just like, what do we do? Like, I can't see. Almost turned into like the midnight flea market. If you've ever done that at in DuPage County, it's basically
what the fuck is a DuPage County? I don't even know what that is.
Who the fuck is Steven Spielberg? So DuPage County holds a what they call the midnight flea market. So it starts at, I believe, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it runs supposedly, and I air quote that, it's supposed to run all night through like 4 o'clock in the morning. However, there is the human element. People get tired.
Yeah.
So usually around 1 o'clock, which granted is still pretty late, but around like 12:30, 1 o'clock, you'll start seeing a lot of the vendors like start packing up their stuff and leaving. You'll see a lot of empty tables at that point. You will still see some people out there, but it's always supposed to last until like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It never does. It ends probably like 12:30 is like it's like being in a bar. That's your last call right there. It's like, last call, I'm going to bed.
Like, I'm just too tired to be here.
But what they do is, because it's at night and it gets dark and stuff like that, people are supposed to bring flashlights with them. And so you literally are going table to table with your flashlight, looking at stuff, like trying to find like the best deal, and like you're like doing like a treasure hunt.
That
like
seems shady as hell.
It feels like it. I will tell you though, it was really fun until I think it was a couple years ago, when they posted on Facebook for the first time that they were going to be doing the midnight flea market.
Yeah.
You used to be able to literally walk right in and just peruse. Yeah, there was a lot of people, but it never felt congested or anything like that.
Right.
The year that they advertised for it on Facebook, there was a line that was queued back like almost all the way like off the grounds, like off of where they were holding this thing. And in addition to having to wait like 25 minutes to get in because the line was that long, it actually, like, there was so many people there, and it just felt packed, and it just didn't feel, it was one of those things where it's like you felt like you found like a hidden treasure because not everybody knew about this, and so it's like it was your special world.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like that anymore.
Oh, that's disappointing.
So, but anyways, that's a long tangent about the time that the Midwest Gaming Classic lost power, and it felt like the midnight flea market. But yeah, so it was almost as if that was like a foreboding foreshadow of how the day was going to go. I ended up finding Kiwi Craze.
Yeah.
And I was so happy. I'm like, this is the second to last game I need. I just need Eliminator Boat Duel. Eliminator Boat Duel. Common ass game. Nobody wants it. It's $5.
Nobody wants
Let's go. We're gonna find this game. I walked around that damn tent for I don't know how long, but I walked around it 2 or 3 times before I finally gave up and said, that's it. I am pretty sure nobody has Eliminator Boat Duel here. I can't believe that at the Midwest Gaming Classic, this was supposed to be
a crowning moment.
This was supposed to be a crowning moment, and it was completely deflated by not being able to find one of the easiest games to find.
That'd be like being thwarted by like a Zelda or something like that, where it's just like, really? Nobody has this. Well, maybe not a Zelda.
No. The best analogy I could think of, actually, based off of Zelda. You're in a room with the boss, with the Dodongos.
Yeah.
And there's also Pole's voice in there. And there's Dark Nuts. And there's somehow an Octorok in there.
Somehow.
And all of the things in there, you're dodging, you're ducking, dodging. And all of a sudden, the thing that kills you is the fucking Octorok.
Of all things.
Of all things. Like, the thing that shouldn't have been. Should have been there, but it wasn't.
fucking ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, it hurt so bad.
That did. That was painful.
So, but it was resolved. After we left, we stopped at a video game place, and like they ended up having Eliminator Bullet Duel, but for some reason it was just like, it was so anticlimactic at that point. I'm just like, you know what, they better fucking have this game.
That's right, because you were like, I think I remember seeing it at this place.
I think I remember seeing it here, and then when I first initially looked and I couldn't find it, I'm like, oh, you have got to be kidding me. Why is it not here now? It's kind of like your Suikoden 2, where it's like when you're ready to pull the trigger and then all of a sudden it's not there.
That was funny, because Suikoden 2, I ended up finding, it was like underneath another game. Like some common ass game. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's weird. Why would you have this hidden?
Yeah, that's one of your headliners of the booth, of the table. You should have that where everybody can see it. So.
And that's funny too, is as we started nearing the end of the collection, and even our own personal collections, like with my RPGs and stuff, it's like the only thing that draws us to somebody's table or booth is those cases. If they have games in cases, usually the loose stuff, out on the table, is usually nothing we're interested in, unless we're looking for something relatively common. But those cases are usually where we find what we're looking for. And there was like a weird tipping point where you'd be able to find stuff in the loose area where you're like, oh, this is a good deal, whatever. But now, as you near the end here, it's like, damn it, now everything's gonna cost you a lot of money.
Except one oddity of that.
Uh-oh.
No. You'll remember this one. This was just last year. Trying to find Nightmare Creatures. Nightmare Creatures is not a case game.
A Deadly Premonition, anybody?
It's not a game that you're going to put in a case. No. It's not a rare game. It's not a game that people may have a cult following or a cult liking to it, but it was not. I don't think it was a popular game.
It'd be like trying to find Tomba.
Yeah. And so I'm like, you know what? I just had this hankering. I wanted to play Nightmare Creatures because I remember playing it. I remember being like legitimately freaked out as a kid playing that game. And so I'm like, you know what? I would love to play that game again. Just see what it looks like. I don't think it's aged gracefully. If my memory serves correctly, no, the polygons were terrible.
Yeah.
And so when we went to booth looking for Nightmare Creatures on the PlayStation 1, I found 3 booths that had Nightmare Creatures 2. 2 is a rarer game than 1 is.
Well, that's the idea.
3 booths had 2. Had Nightmare Creatures 2. Not a single one had Nightmare Creatures.
That's funny.
So, you know what? Actually, some of the games, I can find them in the common area. If they were there.
If they were there. So what would be stuff that you're looking forward to finding at this year's Classic? One thing I do have to look for is Silent Hill for the PS1.
You're looking for Silent Hill?
For Kazi.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. That's one thing I'm looking for.
That one is
I think it's like 60 or 70.
I was gonna say I hate to say it, it's on the upswing.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's because
for the longest time Silent Hill was actually around like the 40 mark, actually even borderline like $30 to $40 mark, and it completed 53.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
So no, not bad at all. And that's for the Black Label original one.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that the greatest hits version is 43 still. So because same game. So
oh yeah. I make no distinction between the Black Label and greatest hits.
No, it's actually there's some games that I'm looking for that I'd love to get my hands on, and some of them that are like really easy to find too. That it's just it wasn't until later that I've actually played them. But I recently played what is it? Donkey Kong Country. What is the freeze?
Tropical Freeze.
Tropical Freeze. Played it for the first time like a couple weeks ago,
Not bad,
and I'm like,
actually.
that's actually a really fun game. And they made it for the Wii U, and I have the Wii U. I'm like, you know what? I'd love to find that game and pick it up on the Wii U. It's cheap, and I'm sure that, dare I say it, almost every booth is going to have it, which means almost completely nobody's going to have that game this year. I just doomed myself.
Yeah, you did.
Obviously, one game for the Super Nintendo that I'm still looking for that I don't think I saw it last year, but if I found it for $40-$50, maybe it's a little bit more than that. I don't know, but Axlay.
Yeah,
I'd love to get Axlay because that's a shooting game, or a what is it, horizontal shooter.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks fun. It's got a kick-ass soundtrack too.
Yeah,
so I'd love to get my hands on that. Obviously, looking for Game Boy games. Some of the middle to upper tier stuff too. Although it would be nice to find some of the cheaper stuff just to kind of get it out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know what? I would love to just find almost like PlayStation 1 and PS2 era like survival horror games. And just cheap games that or maybe even just games that just kind of catch my fancy, that it's like, you know what, I didn't realize that they made that for PS2, and so I just I want to get it. So I honestly this year I don't really feel like there's that much along the way of rare stuff that I'm really interested in or looking for, but
sometimes that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. But we'll see. I mean, it seems like over the last couple of classics, we've ended up kind of picking up our own big ticket items. So you with Panzer Dragoon Saga, and I remember one year I picked up Castlevania Dracula X, and you picked up Crusaders of Senti.
Yeah, that was a good year.
Which is funny, because and the guys that sold us the game, they were awesome.
Yeah,
they were so awesome. And the guy, it was like $160 for Castlevania Dracula X. I'm like, can you do anything less than this, so that I don't feel so bad buying this game? And the guy's like, no, he actually priced it, and he's like, of all the games we have here, this is the one that like he doesn't want to go lower on.
Didn't he say that was the one he would practice speed beating on?
Yeah. That was his speed beating or his speedrun card. Yeah,
label was messed up or something.
It was, but I'm the kind of guy where there was a rip on the label that it looked like there was a sticker on there that somebody tried to pick off, and label came with it, and then on the side there was like one of those void sticker residue things where there was a label there and they ripped it off and it left void. But to me, I love that kind of stuff, especially on rarer stuff. I don't care if it doesn't look pretty. In fact, in some cases, the less pretty it looks, the more authentic it makes me feel that it is, and the more at peace or at ease I am buying it, knowing that it's not like a fake cart or an emulated one or a reproduction cart somebody's trying to pass off as the real thing.
Shell swap.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, $160 for that, and then you were about to pull the trigger on Crusaders of Senti for $200, and the guy calls his friend and he's like, he said that if you buy Castlevania, you can get it for $180.
Yes.
I didn't tell him you already bought Castlevania, so just give me $180 for it.
That was amazing.
So yeah, those guys were awesome. They were so awesome.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, so that was the 1 year, and then the next year, obviously, the Rule of Rose was the big pickup. So I wonder what this year is going to bring, because I almost feel like there's got to be some kind of obligatory pickup or big pickup that we're gonna be making. So
yeah.
But what are you looking for? Is there anything big that you're kind of eyeing, scoping out?
For PS1, I'm looking for Vanguard Bandits. It's like a strategy RPG, but robots and shit.
I thought for some reason you had that one.
No, I don't have Vanguard Bandits. Okay. I got Thousand Arms.
Oh, yeah.
When did I get that? Last year, I think. I picked that up at the last year's Classic.
Gotcha.
There's that Hyperstone Heist for the Genesis, which I do not own for some reason.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for Hyperstone Heist. That would be good. Run Saber for the
for Super
SNES.
Nintendo. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which looks like a lot of fun. That would be a fun one for us to play on the channel together. It's kind of like a not a gauntlet. Almost like a Contra, but with swords. So it looked really cool.
Contra with swords?
With swords.
It sounded like you said swords.
And this one, I'm actually curious to see if we can find Hagani. I wouldn't mind trying to find.
Serious?
It's going to be insanely expensive, and I don't think we'll actually pay.
It's like $5,500.
$5,500, he says. I love the way you said it. Yeah, it's not cheap.
It's not cheap at all.
But the one thing I do want to see is if it's. Oops, that's not it. That's the.
Although, come to
that's
think
Super
of it,
Famicom.
there is one game.
$543.
I told you $5,500. You laughed at at the way I worded it, but it was like spot on.
I'm just curious to see if they'll have it, because that's one you really, really, really do not see even at the classics.
No, you don't.
The only time I've ever actually seen the cart was when we went to Dupere.
Dupere. Yep.
When we found it at. I don't remember what that store.
Game Trade. Come on.
Sorry, man.
Come on, Greg, we're sorry. If you're listening to this, just don't... Andy has problems.
I do.
Greg's the owner of Game Trade in De Pere, Wisconsin, which is right outside of Green Bay. It is not technically Green Bay, but if you do a search for video game stores in Green Bay, his store, Game Trade, will pop up. So you guys should go check it out. If you've never been there before, if you're around the area, check it out.
Yeah, they had amazing stuff.
Oh, and the prices. And
I wish they were closer.
oh my God, I'm sorry. I have to go on a tangent here because Greg was just absolutely amazing. I ended up finding Cliffhanger at his store for $10.
Yeah.
And then I ended up finding it at another place.
Yeah, you
kind of a crappy place, but I found it at another place for $3. And I'm just like, oh man, I got taken. I spent $10 on this game. And I didn't mean it at all. Like I was fine paying the $10. That's fine. And Greg must saw the video and he's like, hey, next time you come in to Game Trade, I'll give you a $7 store credit because I took you on that,
no way.
deal. And I'm like,
I took you on that deal.
I'm like, dude, you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Like, no, stop it. So he makes things like just, I have never encountered a store that I've had more fun in, and that the owner was more passionate about what he did, and was just an all-around great guy.
It was a good store. They were very knowledgeable about what they had in the store, which is good. It's not like they were just workers there who, didn't really know jack shit. It wasn't like going to that, that Mega Media or whatever the frick that we went to, where it's just like, come on.
Yeah.
Their Dreamcast section was one game.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was a sports game.
So it's like he definitely had a passion for what he was selling.
They had Hagani there, and unfortunately, it was the real game, but with a reproduction label on it.
Yeah, and I remember he priced it accordingly. I think he. I think it was
500.
It might have been.
So it was below what the actual cost of the cart was.
God, it's a lot.
And he even said too. He's like, I wish that they didn't. Like, we wouldn't have done this. Like, I mean, even if the label is torn up and scratched up and looks bad, it's like, it's authentic. Mm-hmm. And people will pay for that authentic piece of it, so.
Yeah.
But, no, actually, there is one game that, if the price was cheap enough, and if we were able to find it there, which I don't think I'd be able to find it, but, I don't know if it's a point and click, but I think it's a very early version of like a survival horror-ish game, but it's for Sega Saturn. Have you ever heard of a game called Lunacy? Yeah. I wouldn't mind trying to find that game and picking it up, but it's according to price charting today, it's $189, but if you find it online like eBay and stuff like that, you're not gonna find people listing it for less than like $200.
Wow.
To $225, maybe even $250.
Okay.
So that's one that I wouldn't mind trying to find, but if the price is right, because obviously Game Boy is going to be my main focus.
Of course, you still have to complete that collection.
So, yeah.
How far into the Game Boy collection are you, by the way?
So I am, and so here's the thing: is that if all the games that I have on the list that I have, there's 507 officially licensed Game Boy games, the grade cart games.
Yeah.
I am missing 138.
Damn.
So yeah, so I'm about at 369, 370 games.
Holy shit! I didn't realize you were that far in.
Yeah.
You've really been closing in on, on the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. I can't believe they had 507 games on the original Game Boy.
And I'm not sure which one is the last one, but WWF Warzone and Pokemon Yellow, the Pokemon Pikachu edition, was the last 2 games that ever came out for the original Game Boy, and those both came out in 1998.
My God.
So the system was launched in 1989, and the last games that came out for it was 1998. So I mean that's
a long life cycle.
A long life cycle.
Yeah.
Long.
I feel like no other handheld had that long of a span.
I don't think so. Even like Game Boy Advance and the DS did not have spans like that. Those may have been like 5 years, 6 years. But yeah, 9 full years.
I suppose the 3DS has been going for quite a while.
Well, when did you get your 3DS? Because you got one of
Fuck
the launch.
me if I remember.
Yeah, but you got like one of the launch ones because I remember
did.
you got Nintendo's deal because
they had it not overpriced, but they lowered the price, and then they gave the ambassadors program. They called it
the ambassadors program.
Yeah, where you got a bunch of free advanced games and stuff like that, which actually weren't terrible.
Yeah.
But God, I don't remember how much I spent. $350 for the DS, 3DS.
For the 3DS, that's what
I think so.
Holy crap!
That's what it started at, I think, if I remember right. Maybe it wasn't.
Because when I got mine, it was 150.
Yeah, maybe it was 250.
I think it was 250.
Yeah, 350 sounds a little off.
Yeah, that sounds way.
I think it was 250.
Oh, okay.
But I traded in my old DS. And so I think I got $50 off, so I think I spent maybe $200.
Gotcha.
I don't remember. But this is a weird tangent. Other things I'm looking for at the Classic are more guides. I'm looking for more of the rarer ones. I need to find some of the Xenosaga guides. Some of the Dot Hack ones, they're very expensive. Suikoden 2.
Of course, because the games are pretty expensive too.
Yeah.
Just the fourth one, I guess.
Yeah. World Ends With You, I would love to find the guide for. But other than that, not a whole lot. I'm super looking for. I'm not going there with a purpose other than Silent Hill for Kazi, but that's about it.
I listened to a podcast from. It was actually Greg's podcast called Drop Rate. So if you're not listening to it, that's another one. That's he makes some really good points, and he actually brought up a really good point too that it kind of really made sense that I didn't really think about why the landscape of collecting has changed and why it feels like things aren't quite the same that they used to be. Although I feel like the Midwest Gaming Classic, we used to get games super cheap, or it seemed like they were cheap back then compared to now. They're really just, the prices are kind of just evolving as the price of the games are going up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really can't necessarily fault the vendors there who are selling games for what they are. And, like, some of them, you can blame them.
No, yeah.
$3,600 for Bonk's Adventure, yeah. Sorry. But he was talking about how, so just recently, that Super Mario Brothers, that sealed copy of Super Mario Brothers, I don't know if you heard about that ended up selling for over $100,000, which to me is just, that's ludicrous. That's stupid.
That's dumb.
And it's the same thing like what happened with, there was years ago, there was a Nintendo system with like 5 or 6 games that ended up selling on eBay for over $10,000, and people were like, "What? Nintendo's cost that much money?" Like, and then everybody is coming out of the woodwork, not realizing that one of the games that was of those 5 or 6 was Stadium Events.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't the Nintendo that was going for that much; it was the game. It was the one game. And
Stadium events is $2,006.
$2,006?
That's what it's worth. Now on price charting anyway. 2006.
Wow, it went down.
What did it used to be?
It used to be close to like $8,000.
Oh yeah, it's not.
So, yeah, no, definitely not. No. And then I remember seeing that on there was an episode of what is it? Storage Wars, where this one guy he finds a Nintendo and he's like, oh, this has to be a Nintendo NES 001, and I'm like, why does it have to be a NES 001?
The fuck does that mean?
It was just the first run Nintendo. Like it's just the top or the front loading Nintendo. All of them were NES 001. I'm sorry, NES 001. And so he thinks that he's got this $10,000 Nintendo because it's NES 001. And I'm like, and then it dawned on me, I'm like, you know what? When you hear stories about like a Nintendo selling for $10,000 or Super Mario Brothers, which everybody and their brother had.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, oh, that game is worth $100,000. Like, it brings out people who aren't normally collectors, who are then enter the landscape to buy everything that they can in order to flip it, in order to sell it, which then causes the prices of things to go up drastically because then people are buying it where they don't know necessarily what price they should be paying, so they may be paying more for it, and then because they paid more for it, they're trying to flip it for a higher price, and then that perpetuates that cycle to keep on going.
It's like a video game version of the speculators bubble.
Yes,
from comic
literally
books.
Yeah, that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
It's the comic book speculation bubble. And so it's like
Lord knows there's only billions of copies of the original Super Mario Bros.
Well, yeah,
for the
and
Nintendo.
then exactly, and even a complete copy of it, or like maybe not even sealed, but a complete copy. I don't even think it's like $100 because it's just so like it's so common. And everybody had it.
You can play it on damn near everything with a pulse.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Super Mario Bros. Jesus Christ. I am never going to find it in here. Super Mario Bros. NES, complete, $68.
Yeah, I didn't even think it was over 100. Yeah, there was no way it was over $100. But I feel like, well, we may see that landscape change in, like, video game stores and other places out around here. You don't necessarily see too much of that at the Midwest Gaming Classic because you get a lot of like-minded people coming to the Classic. They know exactly what they want. They know what they want to pay for something, and you just I feel like there's a mutual respect for the sellers who are there, the buyers who are there. Everybody knows kind of like you're not gonna fool me on what something is selling for. I know you have this game for this price, and that's because you have a slight markup, which I'm okay with. Can you cut me a little bit of slack? Yeah, maybe I can cut you some slack. It's like, all right, we've done this song and dance. We know it. We have a mutual respect for one another. And it doesn't feel like it's that way outside of here. So it's like, even though the landscape, I feel, has changed a little bit just in the prices that we see at the Classic, it's only just a sign of the times. It's not because that they're out to gouge us or anything like that. But what do you think?
Well, it's people that go to this Classic are. It's not a typical family that's going to be just wandering into a game store looking for Nintendo.
Yeah. Do you guys have Nintendo?
You guys have Nintendo?
Oh God. Oh, that woman.
No, it's the crowd that goes to this is more, they're educated on what they want. Yes. They know what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. You know, this isn't something, especially for the admission price.
Yeah.
You're not just going to casually wander into the Classic for, what is it, $40 for a ticket?
And they...
how much? $45 for a ticket to just be in there to look for a Super Mario Brothers.
I was just about to say it. I'm like, yeah, and they're going to go in and it's like, all right, where's the Super Mario Brothers?
Where's Mario 3? It's like, no, those people there, they're going for the high shelf stuff.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel like the vendors reflect that.
Mm-hmm.
Damn near every booth or table has a case.
Yes, they do.
With top tier shit.
Yep.
Like they know what the crowd is. So like even when we were haggling with that Rule of Rose guy, it's like Yeah, we were a little butthurt we had spent that much, but I mean, to be fair, he knew what it was worth, we knew what it was worth, and it was priced fairly. So I mean, it's
even there, it's like when we looked it up on price charting, I think the price that we saw it at the time, it was like $215. Yeah, and he was charging $250. However, though, and so we thought, well, not even just that. We thought like, oh, okay, yeah, $35. Like, no, it doesn't go for $250. Blah blah blah. And it was only after that I looked on eBay and I'm like, wait a minute, there's actually quite a few that were ending like around like the 240, 250 mark. Yeah, there was a couple outliers that were like 160, 170, which I don't understand why that ends up happening at times. Or it could just be that the either the disc is scratched or it's not complete.
Blemishes on the case.
Blemishes on the case. And so those prices will definitely affect what price charting is. So you know what? Sometimes, every so often, price charting does get it wrong. Yeah. Where it doesn't actually honestly reflect what the actual price is. So, so it's one of those things that we just kind of have to say we're sorry. I'm
not sorry, damn it.
No, I am. I'm sorry.
No, I am too.
We were salty.
That's one thing too. Though, is every convention that passes, those prices do skyrocket for a little while because people will go and see, hey, Rule of Rose for $250. Fuck that. They'll go to eBay. They'll get it. And they'll be like, they'll buy it on eBay, and it'll spike the price.
Yep.
It always happens. It happens every year where we see where a price will rise and then it'll gradually taper back down. So we were right, but at the same time we were wrong.
Well, and it was, and again, and I think I've talked about this before, but it's and of course I have no proof, so you have to take my word for it. But a long time ago when I bought Wayne's World on the Nintendo, I paid it was either $92 or $96 for it. So it wasn't $100, but it was pretty close. And literally, after I had bought that game, because there weren't that many sales for that game, the price that I ended up buying that game for was the trending price on price charting for the next like 3 to 4 weeks. Like, it literally said like the price of it, like the price was like $92.66 or something like that, and I'm like, that's what I paid for it. Like, okay, I literally just set the price on price charting because there's been that few of sales. That's great. So so as much as we rely on it, there's always those times where you kind of have to question it.
Yeah, price charting is not...
It's not the end all.
It's not the definite price for what something's going for. Mm-hmm. It's more of a guideline, I would say, than a set in stone price of what your game is actually
worth. Use it as a guide, not as a rule.
We still go to the classics. Yeah, every so often we'll reference it, but we trust that the vendors know what their stuff is worth.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
We never go and pull the trigger immediately on a game, which has its risks. It's a risk-reward system. Yeah, we'll be like... Because I think we passed Rule of Rose the first time. We saw it at another booth for $280. And obviously we knew that was...
we weren't going to get it cheaper than $250.
No, so it's like you kind of have that thing where you'd be like, all right, okay, it's there. We'll make a lap and see what other vendors have for it. And sometimes you come back and it's gone. You'll be like, fuck, I should have bought it for the $250.
Yeah, but then you didn't know at the time if that was the cheapest one. So it's kind of the catch-22. Like, do I do it and risk finding it cheaper, or do I pass on it? Or do I pass on it and then by the time I come back and realize it was the cheapest one, it's already gone?
Yeah, actually, that brings up one of the ones I bought, Lufia, for the Super Nintendo.
Oh,
I think it was Lufia 2.
I think you bought Lufia 1 and 2, didn't you?
I think so.
I think it was the both of them. Yeah,
I bought it at the time it was $46, $40 or $50. Okay. But after I'd bought it for the $50, I had gone around and I saw for $40. So it's like I ended up spending $10 or $20 more than what I could have found it for. That game, by the way, loose goes for $76, which I'm actually surprised with. Lufia 2.
Oh, nice.
Lufia 1. Lufia and the Fortress of Doom, $40. Yeah, so I spent about what it was worth. But that's another thing, too. It's like sometimes just pulling that trigger and spending a little bit extra just ensures that you're going to get it.
Yeah.
You know,
and there's nothing wrong with that, because then it's just it kind of just sets the standard where it's like the peace of mind, like, hey, you know what, all right, I paid a little bit more than I was expecting, but I got the game.
At least I have it.
I have it.
Better to have it than to not have it at all.
Than to regret, like, oh, I didn't pull the trigger, and then
like I'm doing with Dragon Force and Magic Knight Rayer.
Exactly.
Like an idiot. Ah! I suppose, actually, I'm curious to see if those will be at the Classic.
Hey, you know what? They might be.
Because that vendor we bought Rule of Rose from had Magic Knight Rayer, and somebody bought it in front of us.
I
remember they spent a lot. And I was like, ugh.
It's the kind of things that I love when, like when we were at a store and you found that the
Dot Hack Part 4.
And they're like, who would pay this much for it? And it's like, go to the Midwest Gaming Classic. I can guarantee you that games that are 3-4 times that, you'll watch people buy games like that.
Yeah, at Coliseum, I remember that was the last one I needed, was Dot Hack Part 4. Quarantine, I think.
Yeah, the guy was like trying to impress his girlfriend, and he's like, who would pay this much for a video game? And I remember you looked over at Gerald and like, Gerald, I'll take it.
Right, everybody. Dot Hack Part 4 for $80.
Yeah, I'll take it.
By the way, complete $135 is what it goes for now. Nice. So I still came out ahead. That's another place, Coliseum Games in Kenosha.
Absolutely.
We love their store. They're run by good friends of ours.
Yep.
Or it's run by good friends of ours. They have a big Magic the Gathering scene.
Yep.
They got a lot of stuff, actually. Warhammer, they do
lots of tabletop gaming, lots of just gaming in general, and video games. They're expanding. I mean, it's
they do Ashes things now. I mean, they do. There's a lot of we don't dabble too much in board game, but I would like to.
Yeah.
Even on the channel, I would love to start playing more board game stuff. Just something different. It's a lot of fun, and I enjoy doing it. I have a lot of them that we unfortunately don't touch as much as I would like.
I know.
But there was one that came out recently that was really good. Damn it! Why can't I remember the name of it?
I don't know.
Keyforge. There it is. Keyforge is what it is.
That's right.
It's a card game where every deck is unique. There's no deck building whatsoever. You cannot deck build in this game. Because every deck that you buy is unique and in and of itself. It's quote unquote randomly generated decks, but they all play into each other. And it's an extremely fun game, and I want to say 6 decks of it.
Holy cow.
And it's a lot of fun. Kevin and I really love it.
Yeah.
But Ashes is another one where that one you can deck build, but it's dice based. Every round you roll dice, and that's your mana pool for that round. It's really interesting. And Coliseum does a lot of tournaments and stuff like that, and they're very good with what they do. And I love going there. They have actually pretty good video game selection too. They got a lot of rare stuff, and I love Coliseum. Yep. They have a lot of really cool shit. When I get down there, or when I'm down on that side of town, I try to make it a point to go in there.
Yeah, every time.
Unfortunately, I'm a north side boy. I don't go to the south side very often. Fuck you, Paul.
Just saying, south side's better.
Yeah.
It's better down here.
But there you go. Coliseum Games. Definitely recommend hitting them up, too.
So do you remember last year at the Midwest Gaming Classic where we didn't realize that...
oh, that's the way it goes! Oh, that's the way it goes!
Okay, I'm gonna kill you.
That's the one thing I hope this classic doesn't have, is an overly obnoxious band.
I am going to kill you. I completely forgot about that until you just said that.
I take that back. They weren't obnoxious, but it was a little too loud. The classic always has, like, their music is just a little too... Yeah, a little
Although there was one year, it was amazing. They were doing a live play where somebody was playing...
A lot of Final Fantasy music.
No, somebody was playing Metroid. And somebody was playing the guitar to the music of Metroid.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that is amazing.
Yeah, sorry I derailed you quickly there.
No, it's okay. But last year, during all of the issues and the bad blood that was going down, where Billy Mitchell showed up.
Yes,
with Walter Day. Yeah,
I loved that part.
And he showed up in his white suit with his American tie on because, the United States is his supplier of ties.
Supplier. Wait, what my initials are? USA. Get the fuck out of here, you gloriously haired-having bastard.
But he made that statement at the Midwest Gaming Classic in 2018 about how like the truth was going to come out, and he's got all these documents that he wishes he could share with people about his innocence.
Did we ever follow up on that? I don't think you and I ever did.
Followed up on what?
About his statement.
Oh, no, I don't think we ever did.
And did he ever follow up on it? Did he ever?
He never did. He never did. No.
True Billy Mitchell fashion.
There was no follow up.
Oh my God.
The documents that he said that he's like, that in time everything will be made available to you. Nothing will be withheld. It's like everything was withheld. Yeah. All these documents that you said you had,
redacted.
You did not share any of these documents that proved your innocence.
God.
And in fact, it was quite the opposite, because now not only has his, which I do kind of feel bad for him, his perfect Pac-Man score was removed from Twin Galaxies.
What a legacy.
Which to me, that was the one that it's like, if there was one score of his that I could trust, like that was the one. But
I wonder if they did that out of principle. Did they do that?
They did, yeah.
Even if he legitimately made that score.
They did it for, like, if like all of his scores are now ineligible. Even the ones that don't even affect what he did with Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong one, I believe. That was, or not believe. That
you believe that he faked
fucked
it. Yeah.
For sure. He faked the shit out of it.
Oh, for sure.
So, like... That is such a I completely had forgotten that we saw Billy Mitchell there until I watched that video recently, and I was like, no fucking way we did see him.
And I did not realize how tall he is. Like he's a big guy.
Yeah, I'm 6'2". So he must have been
6'4", maybe.
I think because he was just a hair. Yeah. Well, he was a lot of hairs.
Oh my God. So if you've ever seen pictures of Billy Mitchell, or
saw mane on that guy,
saw videos of him on YouTube, or if you watched King of Kong, his hair, it looks fake. I guarantee you, it looks exactly that same way in person. He must spend hours. I mean hours. I am not exaggerating. He must spend hours on his hair, making sure that every hair is in place, and he probably goes through half a can of hairspray.
Was his appearance at the Midwest Gaming Classic planned? Like, did they know he was going to be there, or did he just show up?
I don't think that they knew, because otherwise they would have made a hubbub about it.
Because that's another thing the Midwest Gaming Classic's good for, is they have a lot of pretty high shelf guests.
So this year, actually, do you remember Eric Bischoff?
Oh my God, yes.
From WCW?
Such a douche!
He's gonna be there.
Bischoff was a douche!
He was, but you know what, though? He created the NWO.
He did, man. He was a big part of the wrestling thing.
And I'm not gonna lie.
WCW versus NWO.
I don't know a lot about wrestling, but I do know that in the late '90s, it was always that what's better, who's got better viewership and better talent. Is it WWF or was it WCW? And WWF was always the leader. However, during the whole NWO takeover and all that stuff,
the New World Order,
and Bischoff's running of WCW, they were winning that ratings race.
Yeah, there was because I remember there was a big what's the word I'm looking for? There was a big division in it. I want to say it was in WCW, because there was the WCW and then there was the NWO.
Yeah,
there was a big division. I remember because fucking Sting, wasn't he like in both? He would like flip flop back and forth, and you're like,
well, I think it's because he was like pretending to join the NWO. I'm a lone wolf. He was pretending to join them to like infiltrate them, and then he's like, "No, I'm not.
I work for myself."
Yeah,
I hated Sting. I'm not gonna lie to you. Fucking Sting was just a whack ass crow.
I missed when he was the All-American like bash.
Yeah,
beach Sting.
Because I remember he used to have the bat all the time, and he looked like the crow.
Yeah, he did. He had the bat and the trench coat.
Yeah, he was okay. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember what his signature move was.
It's a scorpion deathlock.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a submission, wasn't it?
It was a submission hold. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll have to do a wrestling episode at some point.
That would be fun.
Yeah, there's a lot about wrestling that we could talk about, but anyway, Speaking, Eric Bischoff.
So Eric Bischoff,
Surprised.
and they made the announcement that it was him. So they made no announcement whatsoever that Billy Mitchell was going to be there, which is why I really think that he basically showed up probably to do the whole statement that he made.
But of all places to go,
the Midwest,
you go to Midwest Gaming. In Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
It's the biggest video game convention in the Midwest, though. So I mean, there's nothing quite like it around here.
I suppose that's true because Amkey is the same thing.
It's for the anime convention. Yep, in Milwaukee. Yep,
the Milwaukee anime convention was huge now in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Tim, for spearheading that convention. He helped create that convention.
He did.
Which that's such a. I feel like that's such an accomplishment. To take a convention from nothing and build it into such a big thing.
To do something that you're passionate about, and you don't care if you get a lot of people going to it.
Yeah.
You just want to organize it so that you can collect all these different people.
For like-minded people
who can then enjoy what it is that you enjoy.
Yeah.
But it ends up taking off to such a degree that it just becomes this runaway freight train at that point. Yeah, that's amazing.
The stresses of that have to be crazy.
Oh, I don't even.
That's why at one point I like Power Trip being smaller, but at the same time it's like I want it to build.
Want it to be bigger, but at the same time it's like I like not having to worry about this.
I like not having a lot of responsibility.
Exactly.
Billy Mitchell, man. What, that was such a surprise.
It was, and I literally wanted to meet Walter. I could give two craps less about Billy Mitchell.
If anybody's curious about what we're even fucking talking about, watch. There's a couple of documentaries you can watch. I know. What was the Pac-Man one?
Chasing Ghosts.
Chasing Ghosts was about Billy Mitchell's perfect Pac-Man run, and King of Kong, Fistful of Quarters, was another one where it was Steve Wiebe was chasing the Donkey Kong high score. And Billy Mitchell kind of he underhandedly retained his title from Steve Wiebe.
Yeah, so...
Is it Wiebe or Wiebe?
Wiebe. So Billy Mitchell had the high score. And
he did.
Steve Wiebe decided, he's like, you know what, I think I could beat that. I could get a top score. So he ended up doing that. He recorded it. He had to submit it. They viewed the video. Then there was people who actually came to his house to inspect his Donkey Kong board so that they can guarantee that it was a legit playthrough or a legit machine. And because they saw that it was sent to him by Roy Schilt, who there's a lot of history between Roy Schilt and Billy Mitchell not liking each other. Mm-hmm. And so they basically said that your score doesn't count because it's because of this guy, Roy Schilt.
Guilty by association.
It's tainted. Therefore, you have to do this live and in person in order to get a score, to get your score recognized. So he went to FunSpot where they were having a video game. Not a contest, but like a video game convention type thing.
Twin Spot in New Hampshire.
Yeah, FunSpot. FunSpot in
what
New
did
Hampshire,
I say?
Yeah.
Twin Spot?
You said Twin Spot.
My bad.
Not Twin Peaks. FunSpot in Weirs Beach, New Hampshire.
There you go.
And so he actually in person he got the high score and he got a kill screen.
Yeah.
And so then his score was recognized. And within one day, Billy Mitchell submitted a recorded tape that they gave to the judges. They watched it, and because that score was higher, they basically then said, nope, now Billy has the high score again. He retains his score. And so they made Wiebe jump through all these hoops to do it live, to make sure that there was no taint of that it was the official way to do it, that he was doing it by the rules. And then Billy, they just let him submit a tape.
Yeah.
And that was his proof. So he
there were a lot of discrepancies with the tape.
And there was a lot of discrepancies with that tape. So but anyways, what ended up ultimately happening was that Steve Wiebe got the high score back again. But then it was years later that people were watching the tape that was actually submitted by Billy Mitchell, and they noticed that there's a lot of striking similarities between how his game is loading to how it loads on the MAME, which is the MAME stands for multiple arcade machine emulator. I think
it's essentially
something
an
what
emulation.
It's an emulation. Yeah, it's an emulation of an arcade game, and it has notable ways of how it loads compared to the actual authentic arcade version of it. And so then they started looking into it like, wait a minute, it looks like you're playing on a MAME or some kind of emulated Donkey Kong, some kind of emulation. And they realized that then it just started snowballing, where it's like, well, the score that he was getting, like with getting the hammer and the things that he was getting too many 800-point hits with the hammer, and it just, statistically speaking, it didn't make sense. Like, there was no reason why he should have been getting such high scores. And so then they started thinking that he was basically recording it on MAME, and then he was using save states to try to maximize the amount of score that he could get. And so then just last year, they basically went through this whole 6-month period where they were investigating. They were doing this investigation to determine the legitimacy of it, and they ultimately found out that they couldn't conclude that it was done on MAME. However, though, they concluded that whatever it was that he did was not on authentic hardware.
Yeah, it was a big deal in the gaming community.
It was a huge thing in the gaming community, and so that's why Billy was at the Midwest Gaming Classic. He basically came there to issue a statement saying that that he's got a team who's looking into this, and that he promises that the truth will come out. No information will be withheld from anybody. He wishes that he could share it with everybody. And that the truth will come out soon, so that everybody can see that he's an honest guy. Yeah, he's legit. And no information came out. No information was shared from Billy or his team. And the Twin Galaxies ended up completing their investigation and determining that it was not legit, and so they removed, striked all of his scores, not just his Donkey Kong, but also his perfect game on Pac-Man as well, too, was no longer recognized as that. So,
what a way to go!
A lot of hubbub, but I mean, yeah, he had quite a reputation and quite a legacy, I guess, just because of the way that he kind of conducted and composed himself. But now, I mean, this is literally the legacy he's going to leave behind now. Yeah. Is nobody is going to be able to see past this.
Just dying in notoriety, I guess.
Yeah.
Infamy, I suppose, is the correct word.
So I think I'm super stoked for the Midwest Gaming Classic 2019.
Oh, yes. 100%.
I can't wait to see what we're going to see. The big top tier creme de la creme that we're going to see in the cases. See if maybe if Bonk's Adventure is now going to go for maybe $4,500 $4,500 to $5,000 for a boxed complete copy of Bonk's Adventure.
Absolutely, man. You guys can check out our other Midwest Gaming Classic ventures. You can watch the one from 2017 and 2018.
And 2018,
They are both on our YouTube channel, powertripgaming.tv. It'll take you directly to us, where you can watch the other...
You can watch our playthrough of video games. You can watch our side quest material. You can watch our trip to the Midwest Gaming Classic in 2017, 2018, and also some other video game outings that we take around the area that...
Yep, our game hunts, where we've gone to Madison, we've gone to Illinois, we've gone to Green Bay. We've done a few of them now.
Yes, we have.
So keep an eye out. We'll actually be putting out our video for this year's Midwest Gaming Classic, hopefully within a day of it.
So hopefully you will listen to this and then be sure to check out our Midwest Gaming Classic 2019 video as soon as it gets uploaded.
Absolutely.
So no outro?
That's no.
You just want to just nod. It's radio. They can't see you.
That's true. I'm so used to the camera.
We're done.
Ridiculous.
We done.
We done. We're done.
See So next time on Power Trip Gaming, we go to the classic!
Oh, this has been another Power Trip Gaming Powercast.
I'm sorry, I have to call you out on this.
Call me out.
What I said... No. What I said... So, next time on Power Trip Gaming, we go to the Midwest Gaming Classic.
Yeah.
You literally looked up at the camera.
did!
You looked at the camera.
I did look at the camera. It's such a force.
I'm like, why did you do that?
I was gonna point at it.
Yeah, you looked right at it. I'm like...
They can't see you.
Like... Do I tell him that the camera's not on? I don't know.
What a mess.
Maybe. Oh.